to Eye on Horror, the official podcast of iHorror.com. This is episode 119, otherwise known as season 6, episode 20. I am your host, James J. Edwards, and with me, as always, is your other host, Jacob Davison. How you doing, Jacob?
Doing good. Feeling the spirit of Christmas this Christmas Eve morning.
Yeah, it is Christmas Eve morning. When you hear this, it will be New Year's Day. So Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy 2024.
Also with us, as always, is your other host, John Correia. How you doing, Correia?
Doing good. A little sad that, it's Christmas Eve and I'm still not like rich enough or as much of a bastard to be visited by 3 ghosts to tell me how I'm fucking up.
You mean 4 ghosts? People always forget Jacob Marley was a ghost.
Well, yeah, but he was the one who told him that the 3 ghosts were coming. So, it's like the 3 ghosts.
But
That
he
is
was
true.
visited by 4 ghosts, not just 3. One of them just happened to be his old partner.
I'm going to fight you on that because it's actually 5 ghosts because it's Marley and Marley
Nah.
from Muppet Christmas Carol.
Oh, God.
Come on.
Okay.
Icons were Marley and Marley. Ooh.
Nah.
But yes, someday I hope to that's when you made it. When you get visited by 4 or 5 ghosts to tell you how much of a bastard you've been and how rich you are.
Yep. This is our last episode of the year, even though it is the first episode of 2024 for the listeners. So this is our top 10 list episode, which I can see Correia cringe because we already had just a discussion on whether or not we want to call it top 10s.
Well, I mean, like
They're subjective.
it's all subjective. This is our personal opinions, and I know we have a podcast and we give our opinions on things, but like I don't know, like art is subjective, and at the end of the day, making a movie is hard. So like we're not here to shit on anything, and this is just the movies that like affected us and gave us tinglies and all that fun jazz. So like this isn't. I wouldn't say this is like Ebert and Roper's top films of the year. This is just we're just normal folk saying, hey, these are our favorites.
And that's the thing. They're favorites. I don't believe in worst of lists.
Oh, fuck, where stuff lives.
Yeah, I don't do worst of lists. There are movies I think have disappointed me, but not, I don't think.
Yeah, no, worst of list is just lowbrow.
Yeah. It's just people trying to get clicks, people trying to get attention.
Yeah, it's clickbait.
It's
Yeah.
tacky. I saw one and they had Asteroid City on it, and it's like, oh, go fuck yourself.
Ridiculous.
I think that Varieties.
Yeah, variety.
And it's that Owen Gleiberman dude that I've disagreed with him since he was at Entertainment Weekly. That dude is, but yeah, anyway, don't get me started on him. So let's jump right into these. We're going to go. I always seem to choose a random order of when we're going to go. And this year we're going to go in the order that we appear in my Zoom app across the top, which means I'm first, Correia's second, Jacob's third. So my number 10 is Megan.
Oh,
And
Nice.
I know people have forgotten that Megan came out this year because it was way back in like January, but
It was a January release.
I just had so much fun with Megan. It took me back to those late 80s, Chopping Mall, Deadly Friend kind of, quote, technological horror movies. I just had a lot of fun with it. I mean, Megan is, just an amazing villain. And I think it had a lot to say about grief and moving on. And there's just a fun little, so many horror movies forget to be fun these days. And Megan didn't.
but it also didn't forget to be genuinely like tense at moments,
And disturbing in other moments.
Yeah.
She fucked up a kid.
Yeah, that forest scene was just when she got on all fours was just like, oh yeah, Megan rules.
What's your 10, Correia?
honestly, I have to say this year, my 10th spot was the most fought over spot on the list. Like number one way was a no contest for me. But number 10, I had like 12 different titles I was swapping in and out. But at the end of the day, I could not leave Evil Dead Rises off my list. It's an Evil Dead movie, so that automatically gets great points. But on top of that, it's a great Evil Dead movie. I mean, that franchise has no duds. I mean, absolutely 5 films, 3 seasons, and it still is banging. And like the fact that they went out of their way to do something original with it, putting it in a new setting, doing something new with it, and but not forgetting where it came from. And it was just, yeah, it was such a great and fun time. Like, yeah. And again, at the end of the day, my only gripe is who the fuck pressed that on vinyl? Who the fuck put them doing Kandarian demon incantations and was like, let's press this to wax?
All right, Jacob, what's your number 10?
All right. Well, honestly, it was a real good year for horror in general. So honestly, this list was kind of tough to put together. So, gotta say, putting it number 10 because I wanted it to be on my list was Kids versus Aliens, the new Jason Eisner movie that came out this year. And speaking of, just fun horror, and even though it's rated R, it does kind of have that kind of the gateway horror type of vibe with a bunch. Well, I mean, the title delivers what it promises. You got kids, you got aliens, they fight each other. And there's a whole lot of goopy practical effects and blood and gore and violence and weirdness. And yeah, no, I just had a lot of fun with that one. I actually saw that Beyond Fest last year, but it had its official release earlier this year. And every time I see it on the big screen, I just had a fun time with it. And I hope it gets a sequel, or at the very least, we get another Jason Eisner movie sooner rather than later, because, man, there was a big gap between Hobo with a Shotgun and Kids versus Aliens.
Yeah, very big.
Well, my number 9, we have our first repeat of the lists, is Evil Dead Rise.
Ooh, that was fast.
Hey.
And Evil Dead, I pretty much echo everything Correia said. I think I told the story before, but my Evil Dead Rise, the screening was the same night as Beau is Afraid. And I owe a lot to the PR rep who got me into a different screening, because the screening that normally would have, that the press was invited to, is press only. So it was just all the fuddy duds. And I got to go see an audience screening of Evil Dead Rise. And that's the only way to see an Evil Dead movie. You need to see it with a packed crowd. And that's what, I mean, I was giddy the whole time because it's an Evil Dead movie. And it wasn't an AMC disrespectful audience. It was an audience that just had fun with the movie they were watching. And it was awesome. So yeah, Evil Dead Rise, my number 9.
I saw that at Alamo, and it was, you're right. It was a great crowd to watch it with, and yeah, everyone was very receptive. And I love a good. See, I don't mind hearing crowd like react, especially when they're really receptive to what's happening, and that's a beautiful thing. It's just when people are just like being disrespectful to the movie, and that's why at number 9 for me, The Blackening. Is my number 9, because we had an amazing crowd that was just in it the whole time, laughing hysterically at all the jokes, which were genuinely hilarious, and then getting some nice genuine "oh no" out of the crowd during some of the bits. The Blackening was just such a fun movie. Especially with how it was advertised, you thought it was just going to be like one of those like scary movie, like lazy playing with tropes thing, but the more I think about it, and the more I want to rewatch it, just because it's just such a fun time. So yeah, Blackening.
The Blackening is the rare movie where I think people talking back to the screen might work. Like you don't mind if you have one of those, audience that's like, oh, yo, you didn't, no, you did, that kind of thing.
Again, it's all about level. I always bring up my It Chapter 2 experience at the Chinese restaurant scene when they show the eyeball and just heard someone go, "Oh hell no!" Just like quick little things like that. Yes, but you're not MST3K. You don't need to give commentary the entire movie.
Yep. Okay, for my number 9, and in the spirit of the season, had to have a Christmas horror movie on here, so I wanted to give a big shout out to It's a Wonderful Knife, directed by Tyler McIntyre and written by Michael Kennedy. Had a lot of fun with this one, and again, like you guys are saying, the crowd, or like the audience experience, is what makes the overall experience. And seeing it at Beyond Fest back in October, it was a lot of fun. Like, it was a very enthusiastic crowd, and I have been enjoying the kind of trend from Kennedy of just kind of these horror takes on classic films. And yeah, It's a Wonderful Life, but Scream with Jane Widdop. And also, I just really like Justin Long in this, because he plays this like rich douchebag and actually got veneers with the ridiculous ass giant teeth, and has some good kill sequences, and it's surprisingly heartwarming, which is fitting since it's also kind of a Hallmark movie parody. I've been meaning to rewatch it for the season and before the end of the year, but I dug it.
Hell yeah.
My number 8 is probably the latest entry I have on this list, Poor Things. Which I pretty much, Jacob said it best in his review of it, that it is basically Yorgos Lanthimos does Frankenhooker.
Yes.
And that's exactly what it is. And I love Yorgos Lanthimos and I love Frankenhooker, so that's two great tastes that taste great together. Yeah. Poor Things. I mean, the thing about Yorgos Lanthimos, he gets performances out of it has to be the direction, where he gets these deadpan performances out of his actors. And then along comes Mark Ruffalo in Poor Things, who shatters the Lanthimos mold. And he is so awesome.
Career-defining performance from Mark. Like, as soon as we left the theater, I was like, that is a career-defining performance from Mark Ruffalo. Don't get me wrong, Emma Stone and William Dafoe were amazing in it, but I know those two are going to continue to do performances at that level. I'm not saying Mark Ruffalo can't top this performance. I'm just saying this is his literal best performance ever. Fucking incredible.
Forget the Hulk. It's Poor Things.
Forget 13 going on 30. Like, this is Mark Ruffalo peak, like, at it, and like on just seeing his descent from like an overly confident, cocky, grimy piece of shit to this like spoiled child, like losing his mind is an incredible journey to be on. And it's not even the best part of the movie.
Yeah, he definitely understood the assignment with that role. Correia, what's your 8?
Number 8, controversy. You guys ready for the first one? I think people are going to be mad by my list, but Dead Ringers. It was a limited series, but it's on Letterboxd, so I'm counting it.
I was going to say you're in the wrong decade.
No. The Amazon Prime limited series. Dead Ringers. I mean, first of all, you get 2 Rachel Weisz's for the price of 1. And it's such an incredible update and new take on the classic Dead Ringers. It's more of the book, but they don't shy away from Cronenberg, but they don't try to replicate Cronenberg too much with it either. Some of the subtle changes, like simple changes, like just gender swapping the characters to women, just like makes so much sense for a lot of things. But it doesn't tarnish Cronenberg's. It's an incredible journey. It's very tense. Rachel Weisz is just she's incredible at it. It's just there's no two ways about it. And just like, yeah, Dead Ringers is just, yeah, it's phenomenal. It was one of the hardest to watch limited series of the year, but like also so engaging you couldn't stop. Like there were so many bits in that show where it's just like, I don't know if I can do another episode, but I want to do another episode. So you like push through. Yeah, it's great. Dead Ringers, Amazon Prime. Go watch it now.
All right. For my number 8, I feel like this one was pretty glossed over this year, but I decided on the last voyage of the Demeter,
Hell
aka
yeah.
Dracula on a boat, which, as we've all agreed, that would have been a better title. There's your premise, Dracula on a boat. But no, I had a lot of fun with this one. I was at, and again, audience experiences that I was at a Q&A with the director, Andrea Overdahl, and they talked about how, this premise has been kicking around for years, and it's just such a interesting twist on the Dracula story in that it focuses on a uh, somewhat small chapter, but a very quintessential chapter in that this is how Dracula gets from Transylvania to England, and it's just Dracula picking off sailors on the boat like Alien one by one. And I'm also a sucker for period horror, so it is always cool, just kind of having it set like that. And it was very heavily on practical effects, with Dracula being more of a monster, Batman, Nosferatu type vampire rather than the charming gentleman vampire. So I feel like it deserved more of a shot, and I hope it gets more of its due as time goes on.
Yeah, it was a fun ride, and it was also just great seeing Dracula in beast mode, basically, just like pure hunter prey.
Yeah, just swooping down and picking people off. And again, Dracula on a boat.
My number 7 is Infinity Pool. It's the Brandon Cronenberg. This is also from real early on in the year, I guess, and it's got the Queen Mia Goth,
Mm.
and
Oh yeah.
I just it's a cool premise where basically you can clone yourself. If you get into trouble, you clone yourself, and that person gets executed or whatever, and you continue to live. And it's an interesting moral dilemma, and it's an interesting movie as well. What's Korea? What's your 7?
So my number 7, it was the incredibly fun, very tense, No One Will Save You by Brian Duffield. Yeah, that one came out of nowhere. I don't know if I heard anything about this project before. All of a sudden they're like, "Oh, coming out in like 2 weeks." And yeah, what a great fun time. I mean, it's a home invasion movie with classic gray aliens. Like, yeah, you can't be any more fun with that. And I mean, Caitlin Dever just absolutely killed it. The fact that she was able to carry that whole movie with barely any dialogue was just awesome. And I love me a classic gray alien look. Talk about icon, but I love
Fire in the Sky.
Yeah, Fire in the Sky. But I mean, I really loved their own unique takes on it too, like how they had the different forms, and they're definitely with that running through the forest scenes this year. I think this was the year for forest scenes, because that one also had a great forest scene of them being chased. And yeah, No One Will Save You, number 7 for me.
All right. Well, as for me, here's the three-peat of the day, in that I'm going with Evil Dead Rise, which, again, audience experience. It was a Beyond Fest early show, and it was a lot of fun because they actually did an invocation before the movie where they had a guy read from the Necronomicon, and they had these performers, and like, I think they're contortionists or something, because like a lot of them were like twisted up and like done up like deadites and like rushing the stage, and it was really wild. So that really set the mood. And just again, kind of focusing on kind of the lead up to it, like how they emphasized the cheese grater so much. Like everybody got like a toy cheese grater, and they integrated that into the marketing so hard. And yeah, as for the movie itself, like you guys were saying, it's just it managed to make the premise fresh again by changing the location from the cabin in the woods to like a rundown apartment complex in Los Angeles. And yeah, no, it was just such a blast to see in theaters, and I'm glad that Evil Dead is back again.
Cool. So Evil Dead Rise is our first completely EOH approved movie for the year.
Yeah, triples is best.
Yep. We have another repeat with my number six because I have No One Will Save You as number six. Um, like Korea said, it's just an amazing, very little dialogue, but it's still you're on the edge of your seat. It reminded me a lot of the Twilight Zone episode, The Invaders,
Yeah.
which is, I mean, that's a pretty fair comparison because it's also wordless, and it is, it's a home invasion movie with aliens instead of an actual home invader. But yeah, No One Will Save You is my number six.
My number six is my first documentary on my list. I know. I am I Fringe guy this year. It's Satan
You're
Wants
Mr.
You.
Fringe.
No, I will never take that title away from Jay, of course. But yeah, Satan Wants You. The documentary about the satanic panic of the 80s and focusing heavily on Michelle Remembers. If you know me, you know I love reading about the satanic panic, and I think it's an important thing to study. And I think Michelle Remembers is one of the most evil books ever published by the American publishing industry. And they did a really great job of interviewing those around it. It wasn't meant, the documentary gave care to those that were affected surrounding it. They even, gave a bit of sympathy to Michelle, but didn't let him off the hook. It's a very great, interesting watch. It's a nice crash course on, the book that ignited the satanic panic. And I think it's a must watch. It is now streaming on Tubi for free. So, give it a check it out if you haven't seen it. And if you want to learn more, there's a great book out there by that was edited by Kirla Yanis about it called Satanic Panic, which is all as a series of essays on various aspects of pop culture that were attacked during that time, including an entire essay on D&D and another one about satanic erotic fiction, which is interesting.
All right, Jacob, number six.
All right, coming in at number six, and I'm going to say the later half of my list is going to be a lot of Beyond Fest related films. So number six, I'm going with VHS 85. I've been a big fan of the franchise since the original, and honestly, I feel like they just keep on getting better and better. I really dug the whole 80s aesthetic and the stories they managed to put together for this one. And I mean, you had like a all-star crew from Scott Derrickson, David Bruckner, Mike P. Nelson, Gigi Salguero, and Natasha Kermani. And I really dug just kind of the different places these went. I mean, you had like shooters, you had ancient gods, you had techno gods, you had like the weird psychic dream visions and the Giallo stuff and the shape-shifting alien. It's like basically getting a garbage bag full of blank VHS tapes and pulling each one out, and you just never know what you're going to get. And still a sucker for found footage and just kind of different ways they convey the found footage. So, it's always a blast. And it was again just a combination of the period style of 1985 with these directors and just kind of the delivery I felt was very strong in this entry.
We are halfway through, and so far we have one triple and one double, but so far our lists are pretty much different. So
yeah,
I'm impressed with us.
I love that.
My number five is Beau is Afraid. This is the newest Ari Aster movie. This is his 4-hour nightmare comedy that he was threatening us with. It's not quite 4 hours, it's 3 hours, but it is a nightmare comedy. And I still do have the theory that Beau actually dies in the first act and the rest of the movie is his nightmare going through, that he does after death. Because as the movie goes on, it just gets more and more outlandish till the conclusion is just, you're like, what the hell am I watching? But yeah, it's nightmare comedy is the best way to describe Beau is Afraid. That's my number five.
So for my number five, is RoboDoc, the creation of RoboCop. Um, we've covered these documentaries that are about the making of a movie, and I don't think there ever has or ever will be one as in depth as RoboDoc. Eastwood, Allen, and Chris Griffiths really went ham on this. It's 4 hours. And they cover the entirety of the movie. It's not just, oh yeah, and we did this and like little anecdotes here and there. They went scene by scene of the movie RoboCop and not only dived into it with a critical analysis, but also got everyone involved to talk about it. And I must say, I won't say the title of another movie, but I did watch another movie that was about a cult classic and did the interviews and stuff, and it was just so horribly made. I turned it off 20 minutes into it, even though it was about one of my favorite movies. And just having that comparison of like, this is how it's done right, and this is how you could do it horribly, just put RoboDoc even higher on my list. And yeah, I gotta say, like, if you need to kill an afternoon or a day, put on RoboDoc, because once you start, it's really hard to stop, and it's so good. Yeah, RoboDoc. It's on Screenbox and home video now.
All right, Jacob, number 5.
All right. And going into the top 5, I would have to go with Eli Roth's Thanksgiving, the movie that we waited, like 18 years?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, no, because I distinctly remember seeing the original Grindhouse movie back in 07 at 16 years. And the movies, Death Proof and Planet Terror are great, but I love the fake trailer so much. And Thanksgiving, the trailer was a lot of fun in the sense that, it's a Massachusetts-based slasher, which, I was living in Boston at the time, and I just love the idea of like a Thanksgiving themed killer who's a pilgrim, because as John Fink can attest, if you grow up in New England, you hear a lot about pilgrims growing up and in school and just in the culture and all around.
You hear a lot of lies about pilgrims, okay?
Oh, so many lies about pilgrims.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it's just really nice to have something that just takes the piss out of pilgrims, and also just the way they updated it for this feature version, because, the trailer, is fun. It's kind of the grindhousey type thing with the gritty film reels and very mean and a lot of grossness to it. But for this, somebody else pointed out that this feels like if Platinum Dunes or Dark Castle had remade Thanksgiving in the mid to late 2000s. It just really was a lot of fun, and honestly felt like the most accessible movie Eli Roth has made in the horror genre. And again, it's a slasher movie for assholes, so it's very local to me. So I like that.
How many of those Grindhouse fake trailers have been made into real movies? Because Hobo with a Shotgun and Machete.
All of them except all of them except Don't and Werewolf Women of the SS. So Rob Zombie and Edgar Wright are the last two.
And if you want to, Hooker in a Trunk, or Dead Hooker in a Trunk, the Soska sisters, they submitted a fake trailer for competition and they made it into feature too. But yeah, if you're going to hold your breath for an adaptation of Don't, Edgar Wright already said he's never doing that. So,
oh man,
don't hold your breath.
Yeah, and I was at a screening of House of 1,000 Corpses this year, and Rob Zombie also said like he's probably not going to do Werewolf Woman of the SS because there's too many Nazis around these days, as is.
Yeah,
but he could modernize it.
Yeah, maybe.
All right, number 4. Number 4. I have a feeling this is the first of a few times we're going to see this movie on this list. Godzilla Minus One.
Ooh, thick boy.
This is the Godzilla movie we have been waiting for. It's got the spirit of a Toho Godzilla movie with the visuals of like the legendary ones. And I think we described it as a good movie that happens to have Godzilla in it, because it's got a lot of people, plot as well. And, this looming threat of Godzilla brings everyone together. And plus, it's got a lot of great Godzilla.
Yeah, it's definitely going to pop up again soon.
Yeah. Is it gonna do it right now? Nope, because my number 4 is Fall of House of Usher, or The Fall of the House of Usher.
You got a lot of asterisks on your list.
Asterisks.
Mr. Fringe. You're Mr.
Tricks
Fringe.
my ass. All right.
No, it's not Fringe. It's just not movies.
Right.
It's a limited series. Hey, I can check it on Letterboxd, so it counts. No, I mean Fall of the House of Usher. I mean, we dedicated an entire episode to it because it's that good. It's Mike Flanagan, doing what Flanagan do best, and I mean the performance, everything from the performances to the kills to just the inherent just like concept of it, of doing Fall of the House of Usher and then episodically killing off each kid to a different Edgar Allan Poe short story is just amazing. And it was so well executed, like just tens across the board performance rise. But Bruce Greenwood, again, performance of a career. Like I can't imagine anyone else doing it. Fall House, like what else is there to say? We dedicated an entire hour basically to it, and it's so good.
You could bring up Mark Hamill.
Oh, I mean, my boy Mark Hamill, talk about career performance. I mean, we always knew he had it in him. He was just never given that chance. And so I'm just, again, so happy that, as Flanagan likes to bring back people that he's worked with before and bringing up amazing performances in him. I'm so excited to see Hamill be a part of that roster now and seeing him come back time and time again. So yeah, I'm already looking forward to the next Flanagan. And it's my second favorite of his limited series. Yeah.
All right. Coming in at number 4 for me would be Joe Lynch's Suitable Flesh. Yeah, surprisingly, I feel there hasn't been a lot of Lovecraft adaptations lately, and this definitely more than filled the void. It was such an interesting take because, for one thing, they chose some untouched ground because the story was based upon the thing at the doorstep. I don't think it's ever been adapted before, so a lot of new ground. And this was Joe taking on the legacy of Stuart Gordon because this was originally going to be one of his projects before he sadly passed away. And I think he more than was able to take the reins and bring it to life. It was such an interesting take in making it a kind of psychosexual thriller with the combined body jumping between Heather Graham and Judah Lewis, and of course perennial favorite Barbara Crampton, who we all love. And it was just such an interesting adaptation and dynamic while keeping up with the Lovecraftian elements of the unknown and also forbidden knowledge, forbidden love, forbidden lust, a lot of that type of stuff. Just again, a Beyond Fest screening, had a fantastic time with that, and interested in seeing just to add where it goes from there.
My number 3 is Knock at the Cabin. It's no secret. I've made no bones about being a Shyamalan fan, and I genuinely, with the exception of The Last Airbender, which is problematic in several other ways, I legitimately enjoy M. Night Shyamalan's movies. Unironically, a lot of people, will go into some of his later ones, more like a so bad it's good kind of a thing. But
I'm sorry. Are you about to defend After Earth?
No.
Okay.
No. After Earth, I mean, nah. Well, After Earth has other problems because, anyway,
Sorry.
Knock at the Cabin is what we're talking about now.
Yes.
Knock at the Cabin, I just thought it was it's a fun Shyamalan movie. Batista breaks the mold that he's been kind of pigeonholed into with his Drax thing. He actually flexes his acting muscles, which is great. And the ending is a little different from the book, actually a lot different from the book, but I can see why they went that route for the movie. But yeah, it has that Shyamalan twist and it has that Shyamalan feel the whole way through. It's definitely a Shyamalan movie.
Yeah. That was a
And
lot of fun.
I love Shyamalan movies, so Knock the Cabin.
Hell yeah. That there was a bunch of titles that I was like, oh fuck yeah, that did come out this year, didn't it? There was a Scream movie that came out this year, guys.
Yeah.
And a good one too. But yeah, this year it's a blur. But I mean,
yeah.
and that's why I feel a little bad that so many of my titles were like ones I saw in the last like month or two, because it's like, oh man, we went out with a banger, including, of course, my number 3 spot, which is Godzilla Minus One.
Nah.
What more is there to say about a beautiful period piece starring our favorite thick boy? I don't know what else to say. Godzilla Minus One. It kicked ass, and I still say like its greatest triumph is having weight to the destruction, the tension that builds in that movie, the tension that's there, the butt clenching that I experienced throughout that movie was intense. And
I thought you were going to make another thick boy joke with your weight of the destruction.
I mean, we could, but that's low hanging fruit.
He definitely gains weight through the course of the movie, but yeah.
In all the right places. No, Godzilla One. I mean, it's a fantastic movie. It's a fantastic Godzilla movie, and it reignites the imagination and the heart. And yeah, it makes me want to just binge watch a lot of Godzilla. Yeah, love Godzilla Minus One.
Well, we officially hit triples because I'm also saying Godzilla Minus One.
Nice.
Hey.
Yep. No, I mean, it was just a solid Godzilla movie overall, and as somebody else had mentioned, just is kind of Godzilla Jaws. It's just like a ragtag group of people trying to defeat an overwhelming like animal abomination, and it was such a unique take in that this is post-war Japan, so they don't have any super weapons. There's no giant robots or freeze rays or something. Like, they just have to like use what's available and their own ingenuity and smarts. And this is Godzilla. So like he regenerates, like he just smashes shit. And when he does the atomic breath charge and like his tail spine start clicking, like your spine, your own spine tenses because shit's about to go down. It was such a brilliant way to kind of do a retake on the character of Godzilla while also making such a compelling human drama about the indomitable will of the human spirit. It is now just one of my all-time favorite Godzilla movies, and definitely one of my favorites this year.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me that Godzilla Minus One is so high on all 3 of our lists, because first of all, it's so fresh. I mean, we were all blown away, but also it's just that movie was made for us. It was like,
until next year when Kong or Godzilla X Kong, the new Empire, comes out, and then we get to see Thick Boy and Hairy Man go at it.
The boys are back in town.
Oh, the boys are back in town. Yes.
Yeah.
Love it.
My number 2, and I'm a little surprised this is the first time we're talking about it. Talk to Me.
Ooh. Yeah.
Talk to Me. I think I described it at the time as A24 getting their hands on a Blumhouse script. Because it's very much, the kids and the Ouija board. It's a figurative Ouija board because it's actually a hand that allows them to, communicate with the spirits. But it's very much like one of those silly Blumhouse storylines. But the way that it is approached is just all art house and all A24. So yeah, Talk to Me. It's my number 2. And if you haven't seen it yet, this is another one from earlier on in the year. A lot of my list hasn't changed since about July. So
mine's the opposite.
What about you, Correia? What's your number 2?
I gotta say right now, first of all, Talk to Me is not on my list, and I think it's kind of the opposite of like we've mentioned a lot of these movies that are in our top 10s of having an amazing audience to watch it with.
Oh no.
And I think that's the main reason why Talk to Me didn't is because we had the worst audience you could possibly have for it. Like I'm talking everyone talking, everyone on their phones.
Man.
And so as much as I liked Talk to Me, I really did. I don't associate it with a positive experience. So that's an unfortunate, but I am glad to see it on somebody else's list and so high because it is a great movie and I can't wait to revisit it at home away from all the disruptful youths. But anyways, this one kind of feels like cheating because I just saw it last night finally, but Poor Things is my number 2 of the year. Yorgos fucking did it again in his most fantastical movie. Just like love this alternative world that he lives in. I think Jay said it. Everyone plays it so deadpan and serious, and then you got Mark Ruffalo just like on this like other level of camp. And yeah, we talked about Mark Ruffalo earlier, but like Emma Stone just like giving it everything. Like you really do see her age from like 5 to 35 over the course of 2.5 hours. And it's an incredible sight. I love just everything about it. The themes of feminism and what women go through and how everyone's always trying to trap her. And you see her go through these phases, and the movie doesn't also allows you to be uncomfortable because it's an uncomfortable situation. We're talking about a movie where there's the mind of an infant in the body of a grown woman and how the world treats her and how the world interacts with her and how she interacts with it. It's everything about it was just, visually and just thematically just delicious. I mean, it's one of the few movies this year that I was like, fuck, should I go see it again in theaters? Cause like that was quite the experience. And so funny, so fucking funny. That is a funny movie. Like, yeah, Poor Things. Can't rave about it enough.
All right, Jacob, number 2.
All right, number 2. I am also doing a limited series and saluting Mike Flanagan's The Fall of the House of Usher, which definitely one of my favorites this year. As we discussed at end, just felt like an incredible hybridization of the Edgar Allan Poe, his stories into one incredible through line, and was such an impressive cast. And a lot of what I loved about it was that it did, in a lot of ways, feel like a modern update on kind of those EC Comics morality tales combined with the Poe stories and aesthetics, in that it's just about a lot of rich assholes getting their comeuppance for their shitty ways in supernatural and Poe themed devices and mechanics. I just really enjoyed it. The Peter Greenway Lemon speech alone should get him a nomination for an Emmy or an Oscar or something, because that was very impressive. I had to put it at number 2 just because I watched one episode and I was so hooked. Like I finished it within a few days. It just really was so compelling.
Well, before we get on to our number 1s, let's throw a few honorable mentions out there, or ones that just missed the list, or in my case, one that got bounced off the list when I saw Poor Things. I have a few that just missed. One is Saw X.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
I was late to the party on Saw X, but it is the Saw movies, as I say, they get progressively worse from 1 to 9, and this one takes place between 1 and 2, and I think that's where I would put it, is between 1 and 2 quality wise. It's good. Also, just missed the cut was Thanksgiving with Jacob, which Jacob has already talked about a bit. Like I said, it's just a fun slasher, and it is easily Eli Roth's most accessible movie. And the one that did get bounced when I saw Poor Things is Soft and Quiet, the Netflix movie about, I don't even know if I want to spoil it, even though it's been out for so long. But anyway, the reveal on that was one of my favorite experiences of the year, where when you finally find out what's going on, it's like just totally jaw dropping. So anyway, what barely made your list, Correia?
So for me, some honorable mentions. First and foremost, In My Mother's Skin. It's a takes place in the Philippines during World War II and deals with flesh-eating fairies. It's very so if you're a fan of like Guillermo del Toro's dark fantasies like Pan's Labyrinth or Devil's Backbones or Aisa Lopez's Tigers Are Not Afraid, you got to watch this one. It's absolutely fantastic and is very dark and fantastical. That one just Poor Things came in like a fucking wrecking ball last night and fucked up my whole list. Cypher, the Tierra Whack documentary, gets into some real creepy Illuminati shit and it's two of my favorite things. It's Tierra Whack and conspiracies. So yeah, it's a great one. Metalocalypse, Army of the Doomstar. It's Metalocalypse back, baby. And we finally got that finale that we deserve. So I was really stoked on that. Haunted Mansion's a lot of fun. Fuck off if you hated Haunted Mansion. Nocebo on Shudder is also really good. I highly recommend checking that one out. Very creepy. And Satanic Hispanics was one that just barely got etched out. And another recent watch. It's an anthology film from Hispanic filmmakers, and they cover a lot of different things. And it's got Efren Ramirez is kind of he's the traveler, and he's the one telling these stories, and they do such a great job of giving him his own horror story within it, but he's also the one telling it. And I left that going, man, I want to see his character in an anthology series where he's introducing various stories, but he's kind of on the run, kind of like an Incredible Hulk series meets Tales from the Crypt with him. He's phenomenal in it. But yeah.
All right. Well, on my end, let me just say I only did not add Poor Things to my list because I had not really considered it horror. Although, again, the whole Yorgos Lanthimos' Frankenhooker is an apt description.
Correia actually talked me into considering it horror when he was in our little iHorror chat.
Right.
It wasn't on my list initially either, but then when he considered it, plus when you say that it's Frankenhooker, it's horror.
Yeah, no, that's true.
What's more horror than how society treats women? I mean,
there you go.
Come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. No, I mean, I just, I don't know. It was hard for me to think of a way to put it in, but it definitely is high on my list this year. It's definitely one of my favorites. Definitely one of the funniest movies I've seen this year too. And that aside, some other shout outs I really dug The Boogeyman. That was a fun one to see this year. Got some good scares of me. And also, I can't believe none of us have mentioned Skinamarink. That was a really solid experimental, very out there kind of horror. And Satanic Hispanics also agreed on that. Really glad that got a theatrical release and had a lot of fun there. Mithrigan, of course. Yeah. And also want to give a big shout out to Renfield, which gave us Nicolas Cage as Dracula, which, that alone, gives it a lot of laudation and praise. Also, I saw this movie, Moon Garden. It's kind of an indie dark fantasy horror movie, very nightmarish. I really enjoyed seeing that at the Alamo Drafthouse. And also have to agree with Jade that, Saw X was really solid and probably one of the best Saw sequels out there. It's just surprisingly heartfelt and, especially with the heartrending and gore. A lot of great horror movies this year.
So now, drum roll. Let's get our number ones, which there's very little drama to it to anybody who has been listening to me talk all year. My number one is Cocaine Bear, which is for me easily the best movie of the year, horror or not. I mean, what more do you want? It's a movie about a bear on cocaine. But it also, it succeeds on that level, the bear on cocaine level, but it also succeeds on a deeper level because the characters are just really well written, and it actually has a lot to say about like motherhood and protecting, and it just, I don't know, it's a surprisingly deep movie, and plus the ambulance scene is one of the best of the year in any movie, I think. But yeah, Cocaine Bear, it was my favorite movie when it came out, and nothing changed it.
Yeah. I mean, Cocaine Bear gets the award for me for most patriotic movie of the year. That's for certain. As we have discussed, nothing is more American than Cocaine Bear. So
nope. Yeah, a Cocaine Bear is a patriot.
Yeah. True and true. And real
proud
patriot.
national forests.
Yeah. Again, bald eagles are okay. Like, let's make our national animal representative be a bear on cocaine.
Yeah, I mean, when I think of America, I also think of a bear on cocaine.
So the new American mascot is Pablo Escobar.
Yeah.
All right, Correia, what's your number one?
My number one, Drumbo, please. When Evil Lurks.
Oh,
nice. This movie fucked me up. There's no other way to say it. Possession movies are like zombie movies to me, and can be very tired, can be very formulaic, can be very I mean, there was a few possession movies that came out this year that, were big and hyped and, disappointed,
We don't want to mention Exorcist Believer's name, but
I mean, the Pope's Exorcist was almost that, but I mean, it did have Russell Crowe on a moped, so I can't be disappointed at that. But when Evil Lurks, it was fresh, it was new, it treated possession like a disease, like an aerial spreading disease. It had this amazing world building. I love it when a movie just starts in this world and you pick up the little clues as it goes on, and just like picking those up as it went was awesome. And once it started, it did not stop. And there's one scene in particular. I always have to give big props when a movie makes me pause so I can pick my jaw up the ground. And when Evil Lurks, if you know the scene that I'm talking about that fucked me up. And it's one of those ones where you're sitting there, you're like, something's going to happen with this thing. Something's going to happen with this thing. And you're sitting there and you're waiting for it. And then it happens and you're still completely caught off guard. But yeah, when Evil Lurks, it's highly recommended. It's on Shudder. Go in as blind as possible and just get ready, because it is a mean motherfucker.
When Evil Lurks has the first half of it, probably pound for pound has more holy shit moments than any other movie of the year. And I'm when you say that if you know the scene, you know the scene, I kind of want to find out what you consider the scene to see if it's the same one that I consider, but we'll talk so we won't spoil it. We'll talk
after.
Yeah. But yeah, it is. That's another one that kind of just missed the cut for me, because I think it kind of ran out of steam a little bit in the second half, but that first half, holy crap.
Yeah.
Well, can I get a drum roll, please? Okay, coming in at number one for me, When Evil Lurks.
Nice.
Again.
We tied?
Yeah, we tied.
We had same.
Yeah,
oh,
because
wow.
when I was making this list, we're thinking top 10 horror of the year. So I had to go to the movie that's legitimately scared me the most out of anything else this entire year. And again, a lot of it is presentation, because I saw it at Beyond Fest, which was the perfect venue for it. And I tell you, I have not heard so many people screaming at the theater like I did that day, especially during that scene. Like, we were so shocked. I jumped. It's just it was made by our Argentinian director Damien Rugna, who was actually there for a Q&A, and it was very interesting to hear his thought process, which a lot of it can be boiled down to fuck them kids.
Yeah. He's having a great year, because he also did one of the stories in Satanic Hispanic.
Yeah. In fact, he was talking about that. He did that the exact same time he was doing production on When Evil Lurks. So he basically just took a few days to do that in the middle of that production.
Oh wow, what a fucking machine then, because both were really great. So yeah.
Oh yeah. No, I loved his segment. Yeah, just his timing is so perfect, and for his scares, like he just really knows how to do a set piece and to misdirect while at the same time, just gut punching you. And yeah, no, it is such a unique take on the possession genre, while also it establishes this whole world, like this kind of setting that's like an alternate universe from ours, where it's like the possession is like a plague and society is kind of crumbling. And it also brings just a concept I'd never even considered, but in the scheme of things is existentially terrifying, within and without of the movie. Just that, what if demons were real, but religion was powerless to stop them? Because they talk about how people have lost their faith in Christianity because the Christian faith is powerless against these demons. Yeah. So it just adds a whole other level to the story that I don't think has really been done before.
It starts off with that. It was middle as fuck, because it starts off being like, religion is powerless, and so no one is religious. And it's like, oh, okay. It's just like, religion is dead, and there's demons everywhere. It's like, oh, okay. So we're starting off with religion is dead. Copy.
Yeah, no, they go hard. And it is just so gut-wrenching. It is just like, even beyond the supernatural horror, like just the depths that people are willing to go in the face of this possession, it just really hits you. And so, yeah, it was legit the scariest movie I think I've seen this year. So I had to give it number one.
Not to mention that, like, it handles the themes of like outbreak and all that beautifully.
So anyway, me and Jonathan agree When Evil Lurks is the scariest movie of 2023, and you should see it.
Hell yeah. Now playing on Shudder.
Yeah. And one last thing, at the Beyond Fest screening, as a promotional, they gave everybody apple ice cream afterwards.
Aw, that's so cute.
Yeah, see the movie, you'll understand the importance of the apple ice cream. It was kind of disturbing, with us just kind of shocked and like our jaws dropped, like in the ice cream afterwards, like seeing something fucked up and just trying to enjoy ice cream. It's like, oh man, this ice cream's good, but that was fucked up.
Cool. Well, these are our top 10s. What do you agree with? What do you not agree with? What are your top 10s? Give us a shout. Let us know. Is Cocaine Bear not the best movie of the year? I mean, anyone who thinks it isn't is wrong, including you two, but whatever.
Hey, I love the Cocaine Bear, but like, again,
it's subjective.
It's subjective. Are you pissed at me for including so many documentaries and limited series in my list? Well, guess what? Get your own fucking podcast. That's what I say.
Hey, I didn't go fringe enough to include the Iron Claw on mine.
Yeah, that would have been that's quite fringe. But yeah, I mean, I would have allowed it, because again, it's your podcast too.
Anyway, all right, we're gonna get out of here. So, our theme song is by Restless Spirit. So they had a great year as well.
Yes.
National tours, great new album. So go check Restless Spirit out. Our artwork is by Chris Fisher, so go check him out. You can find us on all of the socials under Ion Horror or at iHorror.com, which is the site we all call home. And Happy New Year. We will see you all next year, or this year as you listen to this. And we'll talk at you then. Thanks for joining us for this year, and we'll see you in the next. So for me, James J. Edwards.
I'm Jacob Davison.
And I'm Jonathan Correia.
Keep your eye on horror.